So our next storyteller needs no introduction. I don't think there's probably anyone in the audience who doesn't know Anna, who has been in our birth community for decades and has been walking with women, supporting women at births as a doula herself, and then training doulas in her Sacred Birth Academy. Have I got that right? And she is an author, and tonight she is actually talking about becoming a grandmother. So please.
This is really my nana nap time at this time of night, but I really respect all the new mothers that have had to come first. So here I am at 8 o'clock. My story is called The Birth of a Grandmother, Unexpected Healing from My Unborn Grandchild. Do you trust birth? I trust birth. I've trusted birth for my whole life, but especially for the last 30 years that I've been, more than 30 years that I've been working in this field. And that trust has been unwavering. Whenever I have stepped into a birth space, I have an absolute implicit trust in birth. Perhaps this comes from my red thread lineage. So I come from an unbroken red thread lineage of home birth. So my mother was one of 7, all born at home in England. I was born at home in England. I chose to give birth to my 2 daughters at home here in Australia. And 2.5 years ago, I witnessed my daughter give birth to my first grandchild in an undisturbed, beautiful, gentle water birth of Elodie Moana. I had a vision before my daughter conceived, and the vision was of this sweet baby's face. And I knew that this beautiful soul was going to join our family. I then just had to wait for my daughter and her partner to catch up with that idea. And they did. And it was a very beautiful time being around them in their pregnancy and for the birth. And when Elodie arrived, my heart expanded to a whole new level of love. And we have a very deep connection that's ongoing. She's now 2.5. And as I was delighting in this love with Elodie and I, and just 7 months later, my daughter announced that she was pregnant again. Surprise! She'd always asked me, her and her sister are 19 months apart, and she'd always asked me, what's a good time limit between babies? And I said anything more than 19 months because I knew how that was intimately. And her 2 are 16 months apart. Yeah. And so I was thrilled that she was pregnant again, but there was something missing. I couldn't feel a connection with this spirit, this little one that was going to join our family. I was trying to connect. And I was opening myself, and I have a very strong intuitive capacity, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the connection. And then what came was more disturbing. I began to feel a level of fear. It was completely knocked me sideways because I never had fear. And I couldn't understand this, and I felt uncertain and anxious. I had a beautiful friend who was being, for me, what we called my grandmother doula. So she was there at the end of the phone whenever I had anything arise. I would highly recommend anyone becoming a grandparent to have a grandmother doula. And so I talked for hours trying to unwind. What was this? Why wasn't I standing in my trust in birth? And I couldn't put my finger on it. And I kept saying, it's irrational. It's so irrational. Why am I feeling this way? I always trust birth. I followed my guidance on the many births that I've attended. I even followed guidance when I was on my way to a birth and the message came, don't go. So, don't go? Okay. So I pulled off to a nearby beach and listened for more intuitive guidance. And what eventuated was I arrived at the home. The midwife, her apprentice, and myself were all on the doorstep. The midwife said, how do you open the door, Anna? And I opened the door immediately, and we'd all been held back because it was really important for that father to catch his baby. So none of us could go. So I was very used to following my intuition, but I couldn't find my intuition at this time. And so after a lot of uncomfortable feelings, I contacted a friend who's a gifted healer. As soon as I told her my situation, she said, okay, let's speak with the part of you that feels irrational. And true enough, as soon as we sat down and started to communicate, set up a dialogue with this aspect of me that was irrational, I discovered that it was my 4-year-old self. So this was deep inner healing, inner child healing work. I'll come back to that because I missed a little bit. So I just want to come back to, again, why it was so unusual for me to have this uncomfortable feeling. Because when I reflected on Amber's birth, my daughter's birth, I hadn't had any fear with her birth. I'd had a curiosity, and the curiosity was she was my second child. And my first daughter, her labour, her birth, was 3 hours from waters releasing to baby in my arms. And so my curiosity of my second birth was, how would I manage the labour if instead of 3 hours, it was 30 hours? But I was still able to step into the birth portal in complete trust that it would be what it was. So this was why it was so confusing to have this irrational feeling, and now to have this piece of the puzzle. Oh, this is my 4-year-old self. So I took my 4-year-old inner child by the hand, and I let her know that she was safe and she was protected. And what had occurred when I was 4, my mother was pregnant with my sister. And this time, my mum was diagnosed with placenta previa, where the placenta sits down low over the cervix. And after that whole lineage of home birth, she was recommended this time to book into the hospital for a cesarean birth because of the placenta previa. So she called my grandmother, who we lived in a different town, and I really didn't know my grandmother, but I was left with my grandmother. So my feeling was, where had my mum gone? I was completely disconnected. I'd spent very little time away from her. And so this anxiety now was a reflection of what had happened to me when I was 4. So I embraced my 4-year-old self, and I let her know that it was all okay. And I loved her and gave her the love that she had missed when her mother had gone. When my mother had gone to the hospital. It actually turned out that my mum birthed my sister vaginally as she was being prepped for theatre. So another piece in that whole puzzle. When I went through this healing process and embraced my inner child, I was then able to have a big sigh of relief and let go of the stress I was feeling, and to have gratitude that I could step into the birth portal with my daughter for the second time in full presence and be there. In that role, I chose not to take on the role of the doula. She had her sister and her best friend with her. And apart from moments of massage and stroking, I sat back and was the grandmother in that space, or the guardian. And that was very beautiful for me. And if anyone is a doula here who's had their daughter's birth, it's quite a big thing to step into that space with your own daughter. And she was amazing, absolutely amazing. Amber births very quietly. She doesn't say much. There's only odd little phrases that she says, and she's just incredible at dropping into the trance of birth. And so she birthed in the water again, supported with her partner, Victor, and caught her baby into her own hands. And our beautiful little Luca was born. Luca Miguel, the little healer that came to me. He was the first boy in our family for a very long time. And our soul connection is deep, so deep. He's over 1 now, he's just over 1. His smile lights up the room, he's a cheeky little one. And in our quiet moments, we have a bond of music and mantra. He loves me to play mantras. He loves the first sound of the Om when we play the mantras. He takes the phone and puts it to his ear, and he kisses the phone with the music. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I'm so grateful for the profound healing that he brought me in this process. And I'm grateful to my daughter and her partner for inviting me into their birth space. What I would like to leave you with is, whether you're a mother preparing for birth, whether you're a father preparing to meet your baby, a grandparent preparing to welcome your grandchild, follow the red thread. There's so much potential for healing and growth when we do this, whether we are birth workers holding space for birth, whether we're becoming mothers, or whether we're grandparents. And to do this work and to sink deeply into our own healing around this process is not only for ourselves, it's for future generations. Thank you.